Hi everyone, Mike here from Heroes and Bosses with another Nemesis video. This time I'm painting the Scout, but before I do, she's going to need some modifications. As you can see, her mechanical arms are pretty badly deformed, so I'm going to be cutting these off. If yours are okay, or you don't feel comfortable cutting them off, then I'll let you know what color I'd recommend using on them later. Now that that's done, I'm priming the Scout with Mechanicus Standard Grey. I'm going to use Iridian flesh from P3 to paint the Scout's face. If you don't own a dark skin tone, you can just add a bit of brown to a lighter one. Next I'm painting most of her bodysuit with a dark purple. This one is Nagoroth Knight. Basically anything that's ribbed or looks like it's padded is getting this purple color. Now I'm switching to plate mail metal. This is being used on the armor just like with the other Nemesis crew members. Some of the armor will be a different metallic color, but you can paint all of it silver for now if you want. For the boots, I'm just putting this on the knees, but the Scout also has some kind of bracelet that's getting this silver as well. And at this part I just realized that I missed the shins with the purple. The next color is German Grey, and this is getting used in a bunch of places. The first is the rest of her legs, the inner thigh, and the butt of her suit. There's also a recessed stripe down both sides of each boot, and I'm painting these with the grey as well. I'm painting her hands to look like she's wearing gloves with the German Grey, and then I'm moving on to her hair. Here's how the Scout is looking so far. The next color I'm going to use is Genestealer Purple. This lighter purple is getting used on all the ribbed areas of the suit, just to make those areas pop a bit. The purple base coat that's already on there is going to help with this color. It can take a lot of layers of Genestealer to cover black or grey primer. Next I'm going to paint the gun using Celestra Grey. After that I'm going to use more of the German Grey to pick out the tip of the barrel, the scope, and parts of the rifle butt. Now I'm mixing up some gold and silver, roughly 50-50, but a little more towards the gold side. I'm first using this to cover the remainder of the boots. Next I'm using it on the gun clip, the elbow pads on the Scout's suit, and also the spinal armor. I just noticed these armor plates on the shoulder, so I'm going to paint those with more plate mail metal. Then one little touch up before we continue, this is just more of the Genestealer purple, and I'm putting it on these rib structures on the side of the Scout. I'm going to do the last bit of armor, the two canister looking parts, with Balthasar gold. And the final color before I add the washes is Army Painter Gunmetal, and I'm using this on the floor. And here's what the Scout looks like with all of the base colors on. The next step is the washes. These are the 3 colors I'm going to use, and I'm starting off with Nuln Oil Gloss. This is going to be used on the entire miniature except for the face and the hair. You can of course use regular Nuln Oil for this, but this one gives everything a nice sheen and creates darker shadows in the recesses, which is great for metallics. Next I'm using roughly equal parts Reikland Fleshshade and Druchii Violet for the face, though you can just use a brown wash. You could also just skip this step, since there's not much detail for the wash to pick out. The last part of the level 1 paint job is to paint the base. I'm using German Grey once again for this, and then spray the miniature with a matte varnish. Now I want to point out that I extended the hairline down with a German Grey. The Scout just had too much bald going on. It looks a bit strange really close up, but it looks way better at tabletop distance. If you're interested in adding some extra details, proceed to level 2. I'm switching to a good brush for this part. I normally use a $1 plastic brush, but for really fine detail you can't beat a real paintbrush. These are the colors I'll be using in part 2, starting with the German Grey. Black or dark brown will work for this too. This is just to create a dark outline of where the eye will be. After that, use the same color to draw on some eyebrows. Next I'm using Ivory to make a small white patch on the inside of the dark eye, but I'm trying to leave a dark ring all around the white of the eye. After the whites are where you want them, go back to the German Grey and make a small dot for the iris. As I go, I'm totally making mistakes and then touching them up with the original skin color. I've never gotten eyes to look good on the first try, and looking good is a pretty loose definition. Next I've mixed up equal parts Iridian flesh and Khardic flesh for highlighting the face. If you don't have these, just use the next lightest skin color you have and mix it into the original one. If you only have one skin color, just add a bit of white to it. I'm only adding highlights to the nose, the chin, the cheeks, and the forehead. Next I want to make the lips stand out a bit from the rest of the face, so I'm taking my flesh color and adding some Screamer Pink to it. You can see this is super watery, and I'm just adding a couple thin layers. Next I'm going to brush over individual strands of hair to make them stand out using Mechanicus Standard Grey. I'm even going to add a few extras into the fake hairline that I added so that it blends in better with the actual hair. Next I'm taking some pure Screamer Pink and putting a streak in the hair. This is mostly inspired by the character art where it looks like the Scout has entirely pink or purple hair. And the very last thing I'm doing is brightening up the lightest purple color with more of the Genestealer purple. I only went around the outer edges with this, and I switched between painting and dry brushing. I also used this on the shin guards. And as an optional final step, I added some black wash to the hair for a little extra contrast. Let everything dry and spray the Scout with a matte varnish. And there you have it, the Scout from Nemesis. A special thanks to Brian Jones for sponsoring the channel, and thank you very much to everyone supporting me on Patreon. There's more coming from Nemesis, Massive Darkness, and eventually Tainted Grail and Zombicide Invaders. So don't forget to click the little bell, and thank you for watching.
People.
I'd like to keep this handy for close encounters.
I heard that.